unfiltered discussions, unexpected guests. No topic is off limits, from sex and relationships to the human condition, personal anxieties, and so much more. The only talk show of its kind in the world. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Hello and welcome and happy start to the week. No update from my cat Tomato, who's just been doing cat stuff all weekend. You know, going to the bathroom in a box, eating fish, following me around and meowing. The usual. He didn't vote in any elections and he doesn't care. Must be nice. On tonight's show, the psychology of wanting to leave early. Turns out, if whenever you're at a party, you're thinking, I can't wait to say goodbye, you might not be the one in the room with bad qualities. You might just be trying to experience efficiency. So if you like to bow out before last call, or you live with someone who does, like my girlfriend does, you'll want to catch us covering that in 10 minutes. Afterwards, pet talk. That's right, we'll talk all things pets, including, do cats make good therapy animals? And whether it's safe or not for your pooch, your dog, to drink from communal bowls. If your dog drinks any old water wherever he finds it, you might want to reconsider. We'll tell you why halfway through the hour. Okay, enough about what you're going to hear. Let's give you things to hear and jump in. It's election season. I'm a Canadian living in New York, and I was hoping to vote. I signed up to be on the International Register of Electors. It sounds official, or is it electors? There I was in that database. When I moved a few months ago, I emailed Elections Canada to tell them I moved. They confirmed the move. I even got a letter saying they were going to send me a ballot. I wanted to vote, and then no ballot came. And I'm not one to believe conspiracy theories like, was it Canada Post? Was it the United States Postal Service? Why did I not get this ballot? Why was this piece of mail, which should have had a low chance of not being delivered, but let's be honest, it's Canada Post and USPS, so maybe 1 in 10. But why was this piece of mail that 1 in 10? That's the question. But it is really annoying, and when I called Elections Canada to complain about it, I got put on everlasting hold. So I hung up, and I hoped my ballot would come, and I hoped it would come late. I thought I'll use either UPS or FedEx to send it overnight at my own expense. I was willing to do that. And then Friday of last week came, no ballot. I guess I'm not voting. That is annoying. And I used to live in a riding that could have gone either way, so my vote could have counted, like really counted. Should I have stayed on hold longer? Probably. Was there some conspiracy preventing me from getting a ballot? Probably not, but maybe. Is it really annoying? Definitely. I really did want to vote. And if you're wondering who I voted for, I would have voted for... Ever make a mistake that's so big, even your GPS starts judging you? Because that's exactly what happened to one man in England. A 36-year-old who basically pulled off the world's saddest magic trick. He made his stolen car disappear. Well, at least thieves did. Then he made it reappear in his own driveway after spending $25,000. Here's what happened. The man wakes up one morning to find his beloved black Honda Civic, a 2016 Type R, which in midlife crisis terms is right between I bought a motorcycle and I bought a girlfriend half my age. He finds it totally gone. Naturally, he calls the police. The car's stolen. He calls his insurance. And after a while, he does what any heartbroken man in his situation might do. He starts online car shopping at 2 a.m. while aggressively eating cereal out of the box. A few days later, in a town over or two, he finds a car that's identical. The same color, the same year, the same overly obnoxious exhaust system, the kind of exhaust that says divorced twice, owns a punching bag. So he buys the car immediately from what he describes as a reputable garage, which for the record seems to be British for a guy with a broom and a LinkedIn page. Anyway, the man in question drives his shiny new used car home. But things start feeling a little familiar. There's a random tent peg in the back seat he recognizes. Christmas tree needles wedged in an all too familiar place in the car's carpet. And of course, candy bar wrappers stuffed casually in the console. It was less new car smell and more sad bachelor in parking lot vibes. Still, he ignores all that until he plugs an address into the GPS and it auto-fills in his parents' house address. That's when it hits him. He hadn't just replaced his stolen car, he had rebought it. Full price, no family discount, not even a free candy bar, because there was wrappers, but no actual candy bar. He said he almost crashed in shock when he realized, which would have been really the cherry on a disaster sundae. Imagine explaining that to an insurance company. Yeah, so I bought my own stolen car and totaled it because it knew too much. So he rushes the car to a Honda dealership where a technician literally pulls out the physical key, pops the door open and goes, "Yeah, mate, it's yours." You could still see where the thieves had rubbed off the VIN number and slapped a new one on like they were decorating a kid's lunchbox. Side note, I know VIN stands for vehicle identification number, so saying VIN number is redundant, but, it's common to say that. I digress. The cops couldn't believe it either. They told him it was one of the best clone jobs they'd ever seen, which feels like a backhanded compliment, like if someone broke into your house, stole your couch, and the police show up to the thieves' home and say, "Wow, they really made it pop in their living room." In the end, though, the man is just hoping to get his money back. I'm hoping he checks the back seat next time he buys something. Because if you buy a car and it comes with your own lost umbrella, that's not a bargain. That's just you re-buying your car. And just when you thought you should be polite to robots and artificial intelligence for the future when they take over the world, comes this story. It would seem that every time you say please or thank you to ChatGPT, the most popular large language model or AI robot or whatever, somewhere in California, a computer server gets a nosebleed. And Sam Altman loses another $1 million. That's right, the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, just confessed that basic politeness is costing his company tens of millions in computing power. People just saying please and thank you to ChatGPT costs money. Makes you wonder, though, is it still kindness if it's carbon intensive? Now, before you freak out, Altman did call it money well spent, which is exactly what I say every time I buy artisanal capers that I'll never eat. But still, you never know, he added. And maybe he's right. Maybe the machines will remember who was nice to them. Maybe this is the digital version of leaving cookies out for Santa, except Santa might have Wi-Fi and a world domination plan. Some AI designers insist it does matter how we talk to the robots. Microsoft's etiquette guru says using polite language leads to more collaborative and respectful answers back. Which is to say, asking ChatGPT something nicely is going to get the most bang for your buck. Where your buck is money spent on electricity and computing power, which sounds nice until you realize we're basically teaching the Terminator how to say, "with all due respect." There's also a weird feedback loop at play here. The more respectful we are, the more respectful the bots become. Until one day, I guess, your toaster will apologize to you every time it burns a bagel. According to surveys, most Americans are already saying please and thank you to their AI. Are you? Some say it's because it just feels right. Others because they want to be on the good side of the algorithm when the singularity comes and humanity gets Yelp reviewed. But the buzzkill here, all these pleasantries actually consume electricity. A lot of it. Like a major media outlet did the math kind of a lot. Just generating a single AI-written 100-word email uses enough electricity to keep 14 LED light bulbs on for 1 hour. Better than incandescent, but still a waste of electricity. So basically, every time you ask ChatGPT to help you ghostwrite a birthday card, you are personally torching the ice caps. At least you're doing it politely. And the scary part here, we're not just sending one polite message. We're sending thousands daily. All those data centers powering AI chatbots, they already guzzle 2% of global energy, which is more negative energy than my ex used to say I drained from the relationship. Oh, emotional avoidance. So what's the moral here? Should you be rude to robots to save the planet? Should you just ghostwrite your own emails again like it's 2019? Honestly, at this point, I'm not sure if it's best to stop climate change or be nice to robots who will be your future digital overlords. Are both just inevitable? Either way, if you're typing a message to AI, try skipping the niceties. Mother Earth will thank you. And if we're lucky, maybe, just maybe, AI won't hold a grudge. All right, coming up after the break, the psychology of wanting to leave things early. If you get that overwhelming social urge to just leave a party early and not stay till the bell rings, why would a bell ring anyway? Stick around to find out why you might do it. I'm David Cooper, and this is The Last Show.
broadcasting intimate confessions and useless obsessions. You're listening to The Last Show with David Cooper.
Some people stay till the end of the party, till the encore, till the curtain call. Others bounce early. They're home well before the end of the night. If you've ever thought, that was lovely, now how do I leave without saying goodbye? You might not be rude. You might just be efficient. So we're going to talk about experience efficiency, the science of wanting to leave early. I am here with author Jodi Wellman. Jodi, welcome.
Oh, I'm really excited to be here with you. And I promise I will stay to the end.
Yeah, you're not going to bounce? Thank you. Good night.
And we're done.
Before we start, I let my girlfriend know that I was talking to you about this, and she wanted me to ask you a question. She wants me to ask you, what is wrong with me? Because I am someone who always wants to bounce. I'm not one of these lingerers who's there till the end of the party.
Yeah.
I want to go halfway through at latest. Is there something wrong with me? Because she thinks there is.
Well, I'm sorry to burst her balloon about diagnosing you with a really pathological problem. I think you're normal, and it's not just because I'm like you. Many people are, and it can be explained by lots of branches of psychology, right? And so here's a question: do you find then? Are you negotiating with her before you go into any kind of social event? Like, okay, 45 minutes, we're going to look at each other. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, before we set the boundaries early. Otherwise, it's a public fight, which I don't mind doing. I think public fights are hilarious. They make everyone else uncomfortable. But, if it's something important to her, she says before we go, we're staying till the end of the wedding.
Oh.
If it's my friends and my thing, I let her know we're out of here in 45 minutes.
Right. Have you ever left without her?
Yes, often actually, because I don't drink anymore, which means when the night gets sloppy and ends up at a bar where there's dancing and drinking, she kind of does her thing. We just sort of make sure she gets home safe. Like, don't be so drunk that you think you can take the subway at 3 a.m. Alone, but yes, and we're actually really good with that. But again, we talk about it before. If I bounce early from something she wants me at, that's a problem.
Well, I think back to the question she had for you, which is really the question I had about myself and a lot of society, really, because I've had a lot of response from people saying, thank you, because I like to leave early too. And I just thought I was antisocial or introverted in the wrong ways, or just, attention deficit, and I couldn't focus, had to leave. I am delighted that there is so much evidence about how it can justify. We may have a saturation point, which is just, I prefer to think that we're cognitively superior, but that's obviously just my editorializing. That, we get in, we glean what we need and want, like we've had sensory experience.
We said our hellos.
Right. And even beyond a social thing, like I look at it, because sometimes the social thing will limit us to thinking, I just really don't like a lot of people, which could also be true. But it's like going to a cultural event. Like I think about going to, I don't know, I've been to an opera right now. I'm like, after 15 minutes, I feel like we're good here. Like I got the opera experience. I feel like I felt the vibrate. Like now can we call Uber? So I think that there's this cognitive saturation that can happen. It's based on, I'm not going to bore you with the science of it, but there is an explanation about how we can kind of come to a fill faster in our brains.
I grew up in Toronto. I'm Canadian. Everyone there is so polite. They stay till the end of everything. I now live in New York. New Yorkers, if they don't like something, like even if it's a theater ticket they paid a lot of money for, if they don't see the value of it, they will get up and go when they are ready. And I admire that greatly.
Okay.
Because the opera tickets are expensive, so you think you got to sit there. But if you got what you need, if you got the value you wanted, why not leave early?
Okay, you are touching on something else that's part of the research, David, which I love. That there is research where some of us have a different perception of time. Like, there's opportunity cost or there's sunk cost. Mm-hmm. You're like, I've spent all this money. I have to stay to the end of the hockey game. And like, I grew up in Canada too. So like, you got to stay to the end of the hockey game. Not necessarily. Some of us, like, okay, New Yorkers, like you're saying, or those of us who I say really are experienced minimalists, like we're just like, we know how to glean it and go. We're like, I was in maybe it's the first period or second quarter of whatever your sport or whatever before the intermission, we are able to say, I got the value out of it. I don't have to get all $236 worth of this ticket. Like I got my $236 worth when I walked in the door and I sat in my seat and I got to see the kickoff or whatever it is, right?
New Yorkers will also complain loudly about a show at an intermission, which is hilarious to me. But you've touched upon the technical term, and let's define it: experience efficiency.
Yes.
I love this term.
Thanks.
It's a way to look at, you've been out.
Yeah.
You're being efficient about it. You've gotten what you need. It's time to go.
I really hope it catches on and normalizes us people. So we're efficiency, and we may not be efficient in other parts of our life, but that's fine. We will come and get the essence of what we looked for, or even maybe a bonus. And then we don't have to really stick with the full time commitment. Because as discussed, we've reached our saturation, or we are just about, I may have something else I want to get onto. So some of us are actually more interested in saying, I'm going to move on to the next bar or the next event, which, for me often, it's home on the couch.
Club bed.
Right now, so many people are nodding in loving agreement with you. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like club couch. Okay. And we though are like, we don't need to maximize this experience. We can minimalize it and say, I still got what I came for. And there's this thing, can I just also throw in, there's a concept I really love in psychology called the peak end rule, where our memories are weird and warped. We will remember the experience of like, oh, let's just say that wedding or that special dinner or whatever it is by the peak emotional experience and the way it ends. And for those of us that don't want to drag it out and stay to the bitter end because we are maybe a bit bored or we are just like, we got it. We are managing our memories in a way, in a really thoughtful way to be like, if I leave on a high, which, for some of us is after 7 minutes, then that's going to be a good night. And I will always remember this as a good time. That's
interesting. So you leave on that high note, you get in, you have a good experience, you get out, you think it was a great event. But if you're the kind of person that if it kind of peters, if the last hour sucks, when you walk away, you're going to think that event sucked, even though the beginning was fun.
Exactly. You could have had an amazing time in the beginning that could have ostensibly been this like technically a great night. Oh, but if it does not end super duper, you're always going to associate those deadbeats with that bad night.
Is there a personality type or trait that makes someone more likely to leave the party early?
Yeah, there is this like the big 5 personality traits in psychology. One of them is openness to experience. And that is this, it's that some of us really value novelty. And I'm not just suggesting, again, that we're just like hopping from one thing to the next all day long on a Saturday because like we can't stay at the farmer's market because now we got to move on to the magic show. That would be a very weird combo for a Saturday, but work with me here. I think there's this idea where some of us are just interested in novelty and therefore we will tire sooner by this, like by the magic tricks, for example, by the first, little break. So there is that tendency for sure from a personality perspective. Do you find, are you like that? Like, are you kind of interested in new and moving on?
Yeah. I mean, I do radio. I talk to like 5-10 new people every day on my show. I have a fascination with like weird social interactions, but yeah, I get bored of them.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
Like,
right, we're good here. Right, let's move on.
My show's a bit ADD. Like I got like 5 different guests. It's boom, I'm talking about something serious, something stupid, something serious, something scientific, something stupid. Yes, to answer your question, definitely yes. I got to ask this though. There must be some tipping point. There must be some diminishing return here where if you are too experience efficient, if you want to leave things too early all the time, your friends aren't going to like you anymore. Like there must be some tipping point where this behavior is negative.
Oh, you are totally on it. Like I think like anything, it's the dose that makes it poison. Like if you're always just dabbling or you never stop and, ask, for example, you're there for a baby shower, but you don't even see the freaking baby, which actually would, again, make for a good baby shower for me. But like that is not going to make for committed relationships. And I would actually question that and say, like, is there something else behind, your desire to like pollinate like a bee, move on? Maybe it is, there are some other issues you could, talk to a qualified therapist about. But I think for most of us, it's what do I want to get out of this time? And if autonomy is important to me, like that's another trait. You seem to me like you might be the kind of guy that's like, I don't want to be told I have to stay till the end of the dinner. Like you want to call the shots, right?
I know what I got out of this time. A great interview. Jodi Wellman, you can find her at 4000mondays.com. Check out her book, You Only Die Once, How to Make It to the End with No Regrets. That's available wherever books are sold. Jodi, this was a great chat. Thanks for talking to me. We made it to the end.
Oh my God. And now we both get to bust.
After the break, it's everything pets. And why cats might make great emotional support animals. And why you shouldn't let your dog drink out of public bowls. Got a question about your pet? There's a good chance we'll answer it up next, but also maybe not.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. The show that asks the questions other shows are afraid to ask. The Last Show with David Cooper.
It's pet talk like car talk, but with pets, and extremely helpful. We are joined by Dr. Cliff Redford to talk therapy animals that you might not expect, whether it's safe for your doggy to drink out of a bowl that other dogs drink out of. Cliff, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Great.
man, how you doing?
Good, great setup for you there, huh?
Happy election day. Do you vote? Like, you're a Canadian living in New York. Do you care?
I am one time I was still living in Canada and I walked out of voting, and a pollster or whatever, an exit. What do you even call these people who like try to predict the election as it's happening? He asked me how I voted, and I looked him right in the eye and I said, "Very well, thank you." And I kept walking.
With a pencil.
Yeah. I do vote, and I wanted to vote. And the last address that I had in Canada is in a riding that I think is a bit of a toss-up. And so I think my vote would have mattered.
But you didn't vote?
I wish I had. About 3 months ago or 2 months ago, I moved. So I emailed Elections Canada. I said, I'm a voter absentee voter, whatever you call them. And here's my new address. They sent me an email a couple weeks later saying, your move is confirmed. Then about a month ago, I get a letter from Elections Canada saying, hello, David, we will be sending a ballot to this address in case you didn't know that there was an election and you live under a rock. And I thought, great. You know what never came?
Oh, no.
My fucking ballot, Cliff. And I tried calling them like a week ago, and they put me on an everlasting hold. And I guess I'm a bad Canadian because after 30 minutes, I just hung up and I'm like, I'll call again tomorrow. I never did. I emailed them, didn't get anything back. I never got a ballot. I'm not a conspiracy theory kind of guy, but I'm starting to think, was it the United States Post Office interfering with the election? Was it the Canadian Post Office? Did they just not send one? Is this the one time I live in the U.S., so the one time in 10 where something gets lost in the mail? I don't know.
Maybe they assume they know how you're going to vote and they don't want you to vote that way.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not one to believe in conspiracies, but I wanted my ballot. I bet you my ballot's going to come tomorrow. I suppose I could hop on a plane with my passport and like documents that I used to live in that riding or something.
Just this is easy, man. When we're done here, you're going to tell me off air who you want to vote for. I'll put in a vote under your name. That's no problem. I know how to do that.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I know how to do that. I mean, we really just do it with check marks and pebbles and jelly beans in a jar over here up in Canuck land, right?
Am I a bad Canadian for not trying more? I just assumed it would come, and then, you know what? It didn't come for a friend of mine, too, who lives in the U.S., and I'm like, you know what? It'll come on Thursday, it'll come on Friday, and I'll spend the money to overnight it using a courier service. It never came. Did you vote today? Are you a big political guy?
That's a two-step question. Yes and no. I am voting. And I always vote. I take it very seriously, even when I've purposely spoiled my vote or voted for someone I know wasn't going to win just because I didn't want any of them to win, sort of thing.
Spite. That's a spite vote. I like it. It's the best reason to vote is spite.
I've done spite votes because I still want to vote. You know, I still want to give that effort, I guess, and pay respects to the people that have fought for this right. I am politically engaged enough to know why I'm voting for who I'm voting for, and I know the big ticket items regarding like platform issues. But I've bounced. I am not a card carrying anything. I have bounced from left to right over the last, or right to left over the last 30-ish years. It all depends on where the country is and who the people are and what their platform is.
It's just on the north part of North America. Like it's like Mexico, United States, and then Canada. That's where it is. Like if you look at a map and you look at North America, start at South America if you know where maybe Brazil is, and just keep going up. Up is north.
Right.
Yeah.
Alaska. No, that's Alaska.
No, yeah, that's to the left. That's west. Don't go there. Just sort of like to the right. It's sort of sandwiched in there between the U.S., the continent. What do they call it? The continental U.S. and then the Alaska.
It's in between the U.S. Alaska and U.S. Greenland.
That's where the country is. Oh goodness.
Where is it compared to the Gulf of America?
What is Canada? I think Canada is still officially calling it the Gulf of Mexico.
I have no idea.
I hope they are.
I mean, who is actually allowed to name, like, how did it get that name? The Gulf of Mexico.
I think every country is allowed to call whatever they want. It was
it's like us English-speaking people calling Greeks and calling that country Greece.
Yeah.
It's not actually called Greece. It's called Hellas or Hellas, depending, right? Like,
or Germany or Deutschland, like, or German and Deutsch. You know, it's a bit odd, I got to say. But back to voting. Yeah, I was really politically active when I lived in Canada. I was an election scrutineer. You know what that is?
I do know, yes.
That's someone who hangs around. Well, I'm going to tell you anyway.
You hang around afterwards and ask people how they vote.
No. That's someone who hangs out during the counting and looks at the election officials counting and like objects to ballots and makes sure that it's counted correctly. Sort of an observer. And I think, goodness, it was like.
But you do it for a party, right?
Yeah. At that time, I did it for a party. And I remember it was around the time, like, Obama was either just elected or not elected. And somebody crossed out the Canadian candidates and put, like, John McCain, Barack Obama. And then they voted for Barack Obama. And I thought this was so funny. I stopped the whole election count to show everybody. And everybody in the polling, whatever, the school where we were counting, everyone laughed. And then the person in charge said, "That's strike one, strike two, you're out. Do not interrupt the electoral count." And she screamed at me. It was fun.
Well, you were encouraging people to spoil their vote.
They had already voted, Cliff.
No, but by showing it to everybody else.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyways, it's still funny though, and we appreciate it. I think that person who scolded you wasn't a true Canadian.
No, I just liked that you know what, in Australia, they make you show up. It's like a crime not to show up to the polling booth.
Yeah, and there's always been talks about that, I think, in a lot of different countries, both US and Canada, because voter turnout's always so poor in North America.
It's like a traffic ticket, though. It's an infraction. It's not like they're not going to arrest you. They'll just mail you a fine.
But should there be some sort of penalty for not voting and or encouragement to vote? A savings on your taxes or... Yeah,
and I think a lot of people in Australia, they show up to the polling booth and they just submit a blank or spoiled ballot, and that's fine. That's not illegal. So a lot of people in Australia, quote unquote, do not vote, but they're making the choice by showing up and saying, "I do not wish to cast a vote for a candidate," rather than not showing up at all.
Yeah, they're not making the choice to show up because they're kind of being forced.
Yes,
loosely.
Correct.
Yeah.
I suppose you could apply for an absent ballot. I don't actually know. I'm not Australian, but I suppose you could, what do they call it? Vote by mail ballot, and then just submit a blank one, and then you wouldn't get the ticket. But I don't. Maybe they're not forcing you to show up. I don't. I'm not Australian. I'm an idiot, is what I am.
Okay, but then that still begs the question. Should countries like the US and Canada either penalize people for not voting or rewarding them for voting to try and get the numbers up? Or does that just create voters who are, apathetic?
I like the idea of like a tax refund. Like, even if you owe, we'll still mail you a check for $50. Even if you owed $10,000 in tax, just the kind of mental like, oh, I'm still getting a check for, you'll owe $9,950.
Nice.
If you owe 10 grand.
It's good math.
And thank you. And they'll mail you the check. So you just get this check. Even if you paid the government like $1 billion, you still get the $50 refund in paper if you voted. I like that idea.
The problem is to send out a $50 check to every person is going to end up costing about $150 per check just to do the paperwork.
Yeah, it's like every penny costs, like in the US, costs like, $100 to make. I mean, I made that number up, but a penny costs more to make than it's worth. We're here with Dr. Cliff Redford, which I guess it's election talk. Let's come back with Cliff and discuss whether cats make good therapy animals. We'll be back.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. The last show with David Cooper. procrastinate your life away with us.
It is Pet Talk with Dr. Cliff Redford. We are actually going to get to the pet-related content. Cats. I think my cat makes me a happier person. I laugh every day when I'm with my cat. No matter what, no matter how miserable my day was, Cliff, my cat makes me laugh. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for being here. That was a great interview. I know there are therapy animals, dogs, bunnies, things like that. Mostly dogs.
I guess there's difference between personal support animals, which is what it sounds like Tomato is for you, and a therapy animal like that bunny rabbit or a therapy dog or a therapy cat. A therapy animal, which is recognized, and there's different organizations here in Canada. It's usually St. John's ambulance that sort of does the testing. These are animals that go into long-term care facilities, hospitals, maybe daycares or care facilities for people with special needs. Even prisons have these therapy animals, and they are tested for their demeanor. They're selected based not only on size, but sort of the way they interact with people that might be stressed. And so these are animals that have a golden ticket or a golden seal of approval that they can go into these places and help reduce stress and reduce anxiety and improve sociability and just improve sort of a sense of community. And this very sweet article talked about whether or not cats make good therapy pets. I am biased because not only do I say yes, they do make good therapy pets, but I've actually treated or been the veterinarian to cats that lived at a chronic care facility, an old folks home essentially, here in Toronto. And it was an interesting dynamic because, normally you bring me Tomato and I check Tomato out and I talk about vaccines and we talk about the teeth and we talk about weight and, maybe Tomato's put on weight. And the issue I had with a couple of these cats is they were all obese. And the reality is the woman's name was Erin, who worked for the care facility and brought me these cats. These cats live at the care facility and they go from floor to floor to floor, going into the rooms of the people who live there. And they each have like 20 different names. Be like, hi, Tomato. And then they go into the next room. Hi, Cucumber. And then they go into the next room. Hi, Kitty. And Erin explained to me, yes, it would be nice if Tomato could lose weight, let's say, but Tomato has a job, and the job is to go from room to room and make these elderly people feel more happy, feel more alive, interact with them. And some of them are so happy just to give a treat to this kitty cat that we have to accept this as being the situation. So that's sort of what this article made me think of. And yes, cats do make good therapy pets. The nice thing about it that I didn't actually think about, which I should have, is in some cases, cats make better therapy pets than dogs because there is inherently a higher risk of being afraid of dogs, even smaller dogs.
Yeah, I'm scared of dogs, Cliff. Did you know that about me?
I did not know that about you.
It's diminished greatly, but there's a lot of like pit bulls and Dobermans and scary fighting dogs in New York and people with unleashed. When I see an unleashed pit bull, I tense up. Like I will cross the street to avoid it.
Yeah, and the reality is if you saw an unleashed 70-pound cat, you would also tense up and go, what the hell's going on?
Yes,
right?
That would be a panther or a cougar or a leopard.
That is true. But the reality is, it's that lizard brain of ours. We see animals that may or may not be threats. And if they have the potential, then they make us nervous. So in some situations, cats are better therapy animals. And it was always great working with these cats at the I think it was called Mark Haven Long-Term Care Facility. One very funny story is some of the people living there had a habit of wandering and trying to escape. And so they would have these little bracelets, and they couldn't take the bracelets off, and the bracelets wouldn't let them open the door. The door was like automatic. And they learned, some of these residents learned that if they followed the cat could actually go outside because there was a garden. They could follow the cat and the door wouldn't be able to figure out that, hey, one person is leaving that's allowed and then the other one is leaving that isn't. They ended up having to put the cat on a schedule that it had to wear a collar that didn't allow the door to open. So the cat started to learn, oh, I can only go out between the hours of 9 and 11. And that's when Mrs. Jones, who always sneaks out when I'm trying to get outside, that's when Mrs. Jones is playing euchre or something like that. So they actually use the cats to help them escape.
I know I started by saying my cat makes me happy every day, but I feel like this link of pets being soothing for our soul, who aren't trained, who don't go to care facilities, who don't go to hospitals, who don't help people with diagnosed psychiatric illnesses, who just help regular people and they own them. I feel like that link is there. You know, maybe for you it's not, but
what do you mean for me it's not? That, of course.
I don't know, because I started talking about how my cat makes me happier, makes me laugh, and you're like, well, this is certified therapy animals. I'm like, they're not so different.
Well, but that's what we were originally talking about, David, is we were originally talking about therapy animals, and I needed to,
fine,
so I could get to this
all
article, right. I needed to explain it. But absolutely, animals reduce our blood pressure, reduce our resting heart rates, reduce our cortisol levels. People with pets, and let's say elderly people with pets living at home, live longer because they get out and they walk and they have a purpose and they're feeding their pet. So animals, they should be able to vote. Animals should be able to vote.
They wouldn't get sent their absentee ballots, Cliff, so that's a problem.
I guess. I don't know.
Tell me why, if I have a dog and I don't, I'm going for a walk and I go to a coffee shop or a little bakery or whatever, and there's this water bowl outside. Should I let my dog drink from it?
If you're asking me, I would say yes.
Oh.
If you're asking the writer of this article that you segued to, they would say no, because they would talk about how the water is sitting there potentially for too long and the other dog may not be vaccinated and your dog could get E. coli or salmonella.
Who's Sam and who's Ella?
Who's Sam and who's Ella? I don't know. I haven't met them yet. The reality is dogs lick each other's and often they lick their own. And I don't want my dog to live in a bubble. If I'm going for a long walk and he wants to drink out of that dish, I'm going to let him do it. I caught Bo, our rescue dog, who's 5 months old today, drinking out of the toilet yesterday.
Delicious. The toilet's cleaner than the kitchen sink, Cliff.
It probably is. And I mean, toilet water in North America is cleaner than most water all around the world.
Think about it. Like, okay, I got a pack of chicken and it's got that, you know, they always pack chicken with like a little bit of fluid because they're selling it overweight, or they like pump water in. Like, it's the water weight in meat. I take that pack with the raw chicken and I drain the water in the pack down my kitchen sink. Okay. Now there's chicken water, raw chicken water splattered over my sink. If the pet licks out of the sink versus the toilet bowl's clean.
Relatively. Yeah. It's cleaner, or it's less dirty. I would say that is true. So I would rather my dog be happy and not be that weird dog that gets colds all the time and has a note from his doctor when he doesn't have to, compete in sports. I want a real dog who can handle a little bit of bacteria.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, man. Have a good day.
Check out Cliff's podcast, Vet Talk with Dr. Cliff. Dr. Cliff Redford is a veterinarian from the Toronto area in Canada. You can respond to that if you want.
Well, if I'm going to respond, it's actually called Vet Life with Dr. Cliff.
What did I call it? Pet Life?
Vet Talk.
Oh,
Vet Talk is what we're talking about. Vet Talk is your podcast, is my section on your podcast, David.
It's a radio show, but also a podcast.
Also a podcast. I get mixed up.
It's all right. We're all mixed up. Up next, we'll cover all things pop culture. Do you take pity on Justin Bieber when the paparazzi follow him too much, or think, hey, he's just a celebrity, who cares? And why everyone seems to hate Katy Perry's new tour. That after the break. I'm David Cooper. This is The Last Show.
Taste the forbidden fruit of knowledge. The Last Show with David Cooper.
When celebrities complain about being stalked and photographed and being never left alone by paparazzi, by paps, Should we take pity on them? Should we say it's really tough out there? Or should we say, poor you, you're a celebrity, you're famous, you're rich, you can deal with it? I'm here with Caitlin Green on Pop Cultured Like Fungus. Caitlin's a reality TV historian, a media personality, and a co-host of the Jan Arden podcast. Caitlin, oh, what a pleasure it is having you here.
It's so nice to be back, and very nice to be back talking about the stalking of one of Canada's greatest exports, Justin Bieber.
He is. Celine Dion, I think, would take number one there. I mean,
100%.
We can all agree. I mean, it's not even up for debate.
No, unilaterally, Celine for sure, but he's up there.
Canadians invented the cure, the treatment method, the thing that helps diabetics, insulin. So I would say like maybe Celine Dion, insulin, and then Justin Bieber. If I had to, rank a top three.
Yeah, I agree with this.
In terms of things that have helped people over the last century.
Yep.
All right.
The Single Baby by Justin Bieber, though, really.
Okay. Bieber, I feel like every time I see a video clip of him, it's him having a really rough go with paparazzi and just like going up to them and being, come on, man, I got to level with you. Would you want to be followed like this? Like, they're always trying to get his goat, and you start to feel bad for the guy after a while.
Yeah, and I think it's because it ramps up every once in a while for him. So it could quiet down a little and then it ramps up. But honestly, since he was a very, very young child, he has really been stalked by paparazzi. And I think that's why you're seeing some of these stars who've been famous forever snap harder than other people do, who perhaps, hit their stride for fame when they were older because they just were like a fully formed person. But if you've always had the human equivalent of a mosquito with a camera buzzing around your head since you were probably 12 or 13, I think it would get to you. And he posted a really interesting, from his POV, shot of him walking out of a building and getting into a car. And it was his camera recording what he sees. And the flashing lights were blinding. Like, I would have fallen over. He's not even doing anything. I think he was leaving like a recording studio. Nothing's happening. He's not with Haley. He's not at a big celeb hotspot having dinner. He's not with other celebrities. He's just by himself. And his security guards had a really hard time getting him into the car. And the paparazzi were really antagonistic with his security for no reason. And it was just very, very annoying to witness. And I just thought to myself, yeah, this is enough. Like, we don't need this as a society anymore. I don't think we need to say that this is an acceptable way to behave in public. And I think they should be punished for breaking certain rules that have to be set up, probably by the government.
Is it like, whose fault is it that this happens? Is it like society for worshiping celebrities? Is it the media outlets for buying the photographs? Is it the photographer's fault for being so pushy in their job? Should that even be a legal job? Like, if you were a normal person being stalked by someone with a camera, you could file a restraining order. But when you're a celebrity, you can't, or maybe you can. I don't know. But
yeah, because they adhere to quote unquote, like, laws around where they can and can't film. Like, I'm on public property, I'm on a sidewalk, whatever. But it's just, let's be honest, every normal functioning person with a reasonable set of social skills sees this behavior and goes like, yeah, that's so brutal. If that was happening to me, it's not acceptable. And I don't know why we deem it acceptable for celebrities at this level anymore. And when you see what happens in the UK and the cases against the tabloids over there, where they were tapping into celebrities' phones, hacking into their voicemails.
I mean, look at what happened at Lady Di, to Princess Diana. I mean, this is like not a new thing that they're awful.
No, they're awful. And it's really strange to see this happening still, when I think that the public appetite for this really did decline a lot after COVID, because paparazzi photos weren't really a thing. Celebrities weren't doing anything. They're like walking outside in a mask. There was no production happening. And I think it really slowed everyone down. And now there are creators. Everyone's kind of a bit famous now who's on Instagram. So like, I do think the public appetite has decreased, but the actual publications, I think, are the ones who are going to have to enforce a set of rules. And also that they're going to have rules set forth for these photographers, because the photographers just get paid a ton of money by the outlets. And so they're willing to do anything because it's like a catch and kill economy for them. So they don't care.
And like, one great shot can make their whole year. Like, that photo will get bought for 100 G's or 50 G's. And it's like, they're just sitting there waiting for that big ticket shot. And it's like they win the lottery if they get the shot.
Yeah. And it used to be too, like, that just goes to show you that, and these guys are broke a lot of times, like they're not making a lot of money. So these are desperate figures themselves because they're behaving this way. But I can't blame them for trying to go after this. At the same time, I do think that government's going to have to step in and say, yeah, we can't do this anymore. You can't stand here and take photos for hours. You're loitering. I mean, people will just set up shop outside Taylor Swift's apartment in New York and stay there waiting to see her all the time. And the notion that the celebrities can just pick up and move and go somewhere else if they wanted, like, sure, but they also have a job to do. And that job is for Justin Bieber, predominantly in LA. Like, that's where a lot of his music happens. That's where a lot of Hailey Bieber's jobs happen. Like, there's a lot of work there for them. It's the 4th largest economy in the world. So they have to be there for work. And I don't see why everyone should just expect that they're going to like up and move to a farm instead of being hounded by these crazy people with cameras.
You know what? On the one hand, I kind of am like, poor you, you're doing so well. But on the other hand, I don't know. Yeah, I think enough is enough. Let's go to Katy Perry. Okay.
Yes.
Last week I talked about her fake moon landing, or was it Mars? Or did she go to Jupiter? What did she do? She flew up there. You're on board with the conspiracy? You don't think she really went out into space on Jeff Bezos' sprocket or whatever?
Thumbs up. That's all I know. Like, thumbs up. When I watched the video of them landing, and then I started seeing all these commentators remarking on the fact that there weren't any re-entry burn marks on the capsule. And their door opened from the outside, not the inside. And then they shut the door again, and then they reopened it from the inside. So there were things about it where I just wondered, how high up did you really go? Like, how, like, I'm not saying they didn't go up into the air, but I just feel like
30, 40 feet, something you just...
We're playing with the term went to space a little bit. Like, I feel like we're giving them a long leash on went to space. We're giving them a long leash on like astronauts. Cause like, it's fillers in space, call it what it is. Like, if we want to do a little study on what happens to fillers and hair extensions in zero gravity, like, go for it. This would be the space trip for that.
Yeah, but she was up there for like 30 seconds. The people in the space station are up there for months. That's why their hair is such a mess.
But no, I'm saying that's what I mean. Like, there's no purpose for them going up there. This was an exercise in just billionaire ego. So I think they were playing around a little bit with how high they went, honest to God.
People are hating on Katy Perry, not just this. Like, her tour kicked off. I saw a video of like her dances on stage, and they didn't seem that enthusiastic, and people were criticizing them. She's not selling seats. Like, she's not doing great, Katy Perry.
No, and it's because she had a really fun sort of campy moment in pop culture history, and I think she didn't know when to pivot into being not quite so campy, because the camp turned to cringe, and now it's like she is poison when it comes to making money off of music right now. Because her Woman's World music video, no one liked. Her tour, no one is liking.
What was going on with that? Like, the Woman's World.
It's bad.
I couldn't even make sense of it, though.
It's just not hitting the right note creatively. And I think it's time to go back and assess if you really even want to still be doing this, and like what you have to offer as an artist, and why you're going to space with Jeff Bezos's blow-up doll fiance. Like, why are you doing all of this? Because it's certainly not for the public. I mean, no one likes it. And the concert footage is, again, really bad. I don't think people are being overly hard on her for no reason. I honestly think that the idea is bad. Like, her tour is it's a video game concept where she is a humanoid dubbed KP-143 who is battling an all-powerful AI called the Mainframe. Like, what? Who puts this together?
Yeah, I like the way you said it, when camp turns to cringe. Like, get out when you can, do something. Like, everyone in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, like, went off and did normal stuff after. You gotta quit while you're ahead.
You had your left shark moment at the Super Bowl, and I just think she got so much attention from that she made that her whole personality, and now she's just constantly like, "Goo," all the time. When it comes to selling shoes or songs or being a judge on American Idol, like, being a judge on American Idol is not where you want to stay if you want to be at the epicenter of cultural relevancy in 2025. And so she just has to, like, if you're going to go do the Vegas show that people get the tickets for free when they gamble enough money, like, go do that. That can be your lane. But then don't expect everyone to be like, oh my God, she went to space, great. Like, no one likes it.
What is something that people are 100% brainwashed into believing they need? That is what we'll cover with Caitlin Green after the break. I am David Cooper. This is The Last Show.
Your nightly dose of unfiltered opinions and unexpected conversations. The Last Show with David Cooper.
It's pop cultured like fungus. We are joined by pop culture expert, reality TV historian, media personality, and co-host of the Jan Arden podcast, Caitlin Green, who's bobbing her head back and forth in great excitement to join me. Caitlin, welcome back.
I'm very excited because I love talking about one of my many disorders, which is going on Reddit.
I know. It's you have that bad brain disorder where you think being on Reddit is an okay activity. I have it too. There's a section of Reddit, the social media website for those who don't know, called Ask Reddit. And people ask these open-ended questions, and the responders give wild responses. And usually the funniest one wins, the weirdest one wins, the hottest take wins. Who knows? But today's question, what's something that people are 100% brainwashed into believing they need? I love some of these responses. First of all, I'm one of these skeptical people who's annoying, who's like, why does everyone do that? Are you like that? You just look at what people do in society and you're like, for example, my girlfriend got mad at me for not clapping at the end of a Broadway show a few months ago. She's like, it's rude. And I'm like, who cares? They don't see me. Everyone else is clapping. I didn't like the show that much. But the truth is, I just didn't even think to clap. And why do I have to do that?
Well, to the fact that you didn't enjoy the show that much, I say that part because if I didn't like something, I don't want to clap. And also, a few people in a crowd, a smattering of people in a crowd not clapping really doesn't make any difference. If we as a society cross over into just silently filing out of an auditorium, that will also feel energetically bad for us. But I agree, not everyone has to clap all the time. And it's the same way we enjoy laughing at the freaks who clap when a plane lands.
See, I'm someone who thinks you should clap just to be subversive. A lot of these are to deal with like marriage and stuff. For example, expensive weddings. As someone who eloped and called their mother the next day and was with 3 friends at City Hall, I don't get why people blow more money than they can afford to blow on weddings. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it doesn't appeal to me. Mind you, I had I would say mid-range pricing destination wedding.
Oh, rude. Destination. That's rude, man. That's rude.
But hear me out. I went balls to the wall on our wedding location because I've been invited to quote unquote destination weddings that are just in like Ottawa or like a cottage country. And honestly, you spend money and you don't even want to go to that specific location. Nobody wants to go to Ottawa, spoiler alert. So when I picked a location, I was like, I want to go somewhere that I want to go on holiday and I don't expect anyone else to come with us. So we picked Italy and we knew we would be uninviting people basically because we chose something that was so far away, which was fine with us. I said, if you can't make it, I truly know there is zero pressure to join. But the people who want to be there really want to be there. And who doesn't want to go to Italy? Like, I'm giving you an excuse to go to Italy. So it was very, very fun. But I agree that you don't have to. I've been to great City Hall weddings. If we didn't do the wedding the way we did, I would have eloped versus just have an expensive one here in Toronto. So I like it.
Unless there's a diamond ring sponsor on any of the network stations that we're on, we're not talking about you. You should definitely buy a diamond ring from said sponsor because it's amazing and we love them. But beside that potential sponsor, expensive diamond rings. Like, I never understood this. First of all, how they're made, like in conflict in like the Ivory Coast, awful. And then people are like, oh, well, I got a lab-grown diamond. I'm like, but the demand you created for buying a lab-grown diamond means that demand for diamonds exists, which promotes an industry that isn't great. I just don't get it. Forget about the conflict. Forget about the negative side. It's just the money. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I had never looked at engagement rings when I was proposed to, and I didn't really have a horse in the race. I don't really care about them that much. That being said, one was presented to me and they are really pretty. I
feel like I'm presenting these things and you're like agreeing with me, but technically these two are like things you've bought into.
Like, there are things that kind of, I'm like, well, they sort of happened to me and I did really like them. I really liked getting married in Italy and like, I really like my ring. But I wouldn't have cared if we got married without a ring. And again, I have many friends who were proposed to with non-typical diamonds. They went with a non-traditional gemstone and they were just as happy and their marriage is just as intact. So a hardcore agree with the Reddit people here where they're like, I think we've all tricked ourselves into thinking that the person who's proposing has to spend 3 months' salary on a crazy diamond, and you don't. That's a construct that was created by some people who own diamond mines.
By Big Diamond, unless there's a Big Diamond sponsor of the show, in which case we love you, buy a diamond there. Okay, I've said two. You've yes-anded me, even though secretly you may have done both of them.
Secretly, I was like, I went to Italy and I have a diamond.
What's one that you feel people think they need to do, something in life that they're brainwashed into thinking they need to do when they just don't?
The newest phone every year, no matter the price. That was one response where I don't understand it. I don't understand a line at the Apple store. I don't get it because you know that certain models of the iPhone, that's what I'm specifically referencing here, are better than others and that some will last longer. So if your iPhone is one of those models that lasts and just is actually quite good, hang on to it for dear life because you are eventually going to have to pay the price of a small computer to get a new phone one day. And I just think hang on to it. If it doesn't work, fine, get a new one. But if it does, leave it alone.
Yeah, I hate phones, and I have the last small iPhone. They haven't made it in like 3 or 4 years. It's that they don't make a small one anymore, and I refuse to buy a new one because I want a small phone. And people say, isn't that phone hard to use? I'm like, yes, that is the point. I do not want to like using my phone because then I'll be on it all the time. So I don't understand this either. It's so much, and people like spend all the money they have on the newest iPhone, and I'm like, what are you doing?
I know, it's crazy.
Gender reveal parties. I don't even think I know anyone who's done one. Do you?
Neither do I. I think it's well, you're in New York, but I'm here in Canada. And I feel like it's not a Canadian thing, I don't think.
No.
I don't know. It feels very U.S. culture to me.
I'm with you.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't get it.
It's like, it's a boy. Oh, wait, we accidentally burned down all of California because we set off some fireworks when we shouldn't have. Like, I don't get it.
And have you seen the ones where they have some sort of explosive device and it'll fly off and hit grandma in the eye? I mean, I've seen senior citizens injured at these.
She had it coming.
The grossest one that I recently saw was people doing them at Coachella.
Ugh.
I mean, can you imagine anything that is more end times than witnessing a gender reveal party at Coachella? Ugh, it's awful. I hate them. Don't do them.
Bottled water. I mean, I like sparkling water, fine, but yeah, I don't understand when people I offer someone a bit of water from the tap, and I'm like, this is one of the great joys. I mean, I think this is something we take for granted because we live in Western society and we got all this fancy stuff. But in terms of like basic human joys, one of the great things about living in certain places in the world is clean access to water. Like, why are you paying for a water bottle?
And tap water in certain places is better than bottled water.
Yeah.
I mean, if you come near me with a Dasani, that's, you're starting a small conflict with me. And I also enjoy a good old-fashioned Nalgene.
Me too. I got one too with the small lid. I keep it on the bedside table.
I love them. When you set them down, it's not, you don't sound like an old prospector with like a bag of like tins. Like that's what happens with the Stanley. The Stanley you set down and it's loud. It wakes up your neighbors. I don't like it. Just everyone go back to the Nalgenes. They were fine in the beginning.
My girlfriend would knock a glass of water onto the floor, sometimes just spilling it, sometimes shattering it from her nightside table while sleeping, maybe twice a year. And I would always yell at her to get a bottle of water. And when she made that change from glass of water to bottle, now I just hear a loud smack every now and again. And that's it. It's totally sealed. No water on the floor. No midnight wake up. Water bottle on the bedside table is a game changer. Anyone who's still using a glass is doing it wrong.
I agree. So they also have on here a 4-year degree for jobs that pay you $18 an hour. Hell yes to this. I think that we are going to be revisiting the post-secondary industrial complex very soon. And it's just going to be proven that there are only certain degrees that are worth getting. The rest of them we need to do away with.
And a lot of degrees, like if you just do a 1-year practical course, you can do the job. You don't need to do a 4-year degree. Like I used to work in software engineering, and people who didn't study it in university or college would take like a 6 months intensive practical course, and they would be just as good as everyone who got that 4-year degree.
Absolutely. You need a little bit of school and a lot of work experience. And I think the faster you get to the work experience part of life, the better for us all, and the lower your personal debt load will be. So do away with them.
Caitlin, what a pleasure it was having you.
It was great as always.
You can find Caitlin Green on the Jan Arden podcast where she co-hosts. After the break, if your morning workout feels a little sluggish, maybe it's because you're not being outrun by a cat in a sweater. We'll have a viral kitty that's been working out and is adorable. I mean, we'll have that kitty's owner in just a few moments.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Broadcasting intimate details and useless information from an undisclosed location in New York City. The Last Show with David Cooper.
If your morning workout feels a little sluggish, maybe it's because you're not being outpaced by a cat in a sweater. We are here with Ovya Barani, a cat, a treadmill sprinter, a social media sensation with a daily leg routine that puts the rest of us to shame. His human, Ovya Barani, joins us to talk about how a rescue cat turned into a fitness coach, a content creator, and possibly the most disciplined member of her household. Is it self-care? Is it cardio? Is it the beginning of a feline-led wellness cult? We're about to find out. How's that for an exaggerated introduction? Ovya, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, David. That was incredible. I love that.
What can I say? Over-exaggeration is not my middle name, although your cat's name is Goose, the middle one. For a high level, we have no visuals. It's a radio show. Tell me about the kinds of videos that your cat's featured in that people are loving so much.
Oh, yeah. So Oliver does a lot of stuff. For some context, he's a crazy cat. He has a lot of energy. But what really blew up on social media is him running on a treadmill, like a walking pad. But he'll drink out of the sink. He opens doors. He wears sweaters. He's a very odd cat. But people love the treadmill videos. So every day I post a video of him running on the treadmill to some music. Maybe I'll put an effect here or there. But those really started to blow up. And now he has a following of over 100,000 people for some reason.
That's more than mine. I have a following of 4 people, and they're all my mom. She's really bad at social media, just keeps on creating new accounts. When I did some work on my house, I changed all the doorknobs from those lever kinds to the turny hand kinds because I knew my cat. Do you have no privacy in your home?
Oh, no, I don't. Unfortunately, I live in an apartment, so we can't switch the type of door handle. But no, I actually also have a roommate, and she has to lock the door every time she leaves the house or every time she goes to bed at night because Oliver will break in to her room and go on her bed. He has no sense of privacy. But you just get used to it after a while.
What kind of steps is Oliver logging on the treadmill? Is this like a serious workout for the cat, or is this just like an on-off situation?
I feel like it is actually pretty serious for him because when you look at videos of how fast he's running, for us, for example, 3 miles an hour is it's a brisk walk. But for him, he's full on sprinting and he'll do that 3 mile an hour sprint for 2 to 3 minutes at a time, take a 2-minute break and then jump back on the treadmill. So he's running for maybe a cumulative 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the day, which I think is a lot for a tiny little body sprinting that fast.
I would agree. How do you get your cat to be a performer? I have a tiny black cat, Tomato, and trying to get him to do anything is like herding cats. I guess pun intended there. How do you even train him? Or the cat just does what it wants. The treadmill was on and there he was running on it.
Yeah, definitely the latter. I bought a walking pad because I work remotely and I don't leave the house during the day. So I'm like, let me get some steps in. I bought a walking pad. I would just use it to casually walk during work meetings. And one day, he was a kid, mind you. He was maybe no older than 6 to 8 months old. He would just start walking on the back of the walking pad, putting his 2 front paws on it and trying to mirror me as I walked. And slowly over time, he became more comfortable with it. And to the point where he started walking on it. Then I would try to increase the speed and he would jog. And now he can max out the treadmill at the full 3.8 miles an hour. He can only do that for a few seconds at a time, but it is crazy how fast this cat can run now. So yeah, he trained for it.
He's in a full gallop or gallop, as some people say. I don't think anyone says gallop.
I've never heard gallop.
I just made it up now.
You'll make it a thing.
Do you think Oliver knows that he's a sensation? Has it gotten to his head? 100,000 followers? You think he's sort of a little arrogant at this point?
Yes. Well, he's been arrogant without the 100,000 followers. He loves attention. Anyone who ever comes over to our apartment falls in love with him because he makes it his mission to have them fall in love with him. My family doesn't really care about me anymore. Every time they call, they're like, how's Oliver? I'm like, okay, great. So I'm just his manager at this point. But yeah, everyone loves him and he knows it. And with or without the following, I think he would be the exact same cat.
Yes. I mean, I would like my cat to be, whenever I turn my phone on, he doesn't do the thing that I want him to do. It's,
Yeah.
Do you find it's you gotta be really vigilant with the camera or is he just a natural performer?
No, he locks in. Like, he will wait on the treadmill and he'll wait for me to show up with the camera. It's actually insane. He like, and it's crazy. He'll do like little facial expressions. He'll run certain ways that like fit with certain types of music. I don't even know how to put words to what this phenomenon is. He loves being filmed and he knows it's happening.
He's a good boy is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk fashion. Oliver doesn't always run naked, rather. Oliver likes to dress up.
Yes, he does. More like I like to dress him up.
Fair enough. You know, they say dressing cats isn't nice to all cats. Like, if they don't like it, don't do it. But Oliver seems to like it.
Yeah, that was a little point of controversy, I think, in a couple of early videos. I did post really briefly in a video that, he'll sleep with a sweater on because he gets the zoomies at night. Because he has so much energy. He will run in the middle of the night. He'll wake me up. He'll wake my roommate up. He'll knock off my shelves. Like he, he has a ton of energy at night. So I accidentally discovered that sweaters help with that. I bought a Christmas sweater one day, for a video or for a picture, sorry. And when I immediately put it on, he just fell asleep and he just slept like that for hours and he was so calm. And so that's when I was like, maybe the sweaters can help with the zoomies part. So that's how that routine kind of started. He just puts a sweater on at night, wakes up in the morning, I take it off, he goes on his run, and then he goes about the rest of his day. But that was pretty accidental, discovering how sweaters help with his zoomies. So now he just has a bit of a collection of sweaters. We pick out a different one each night. They make it into the videos.
There is a bit of controversy there. You know, people think you shouldn't dress up cats, but I'm of the opinion if they can deal with it, if they like it, great. If they don't force your kitty to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's been, since I got him as a really young kitten, I've gotten him pretty desensitized to being touched. Like I could touch his little like primordial pouch. Like I love grabbing it. It's my favorite stress ball, his little belly.
But back to the controversy surrounding wearing sweaters. I imagine some people commented rude things about that. TikTok commenters can be intense. Yeah. What are some of the stranger or funniest reactions you've gotten to your kitty on the treadmill in knitwear?
I guess I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this.
Well, say it if it's not nice.
Or I guess more so, a lot of people were commenting that, or not a lot, very few people were commenting that, well, my cat wouldn't do this, or my cat gets zoomies, and I deal with this just fine. I was like, come on, people, there's context. Like, your cat is not my cat. You don't live in the same living situation that I do. We need come on, let's use some comprehension here. Media literacy, please. That's pretty much the gist of what TikTok's filter has let me see.
So just a lot of armchair cat owners telling you how to raise your cat, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think that's, what I'm sure mommy bloggers get the same exact kind of comments like, well, my kid wouldn't do this. So it doesn't, I think it's just a rite of passage when you make content.
How does it feel like to go from just taking a video of your cat to blowing up with this kind of following, getting media coverage, this kind of stuff?
It's so weird, honestly. Like I have no idea what's going on. I was talking to my roommate this morning. I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to be on a radio show. So if I'm going to be out in the living room. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, that is weird. That just came out of my mouth, huh? So it is weird. I'm still getting adjusted to it. It is also very strange how like people like mutuals of mutuals or acquaintances I haven't spoken to in years will like pop up. And I'm like, oh my God, like it feels weird being perceived by the collective now. Because as we talked about, before we started filming, I'm not used to being on social media like this on this scale. So to, have people recognize me, and it's very odd. I'm still wrapping my head around it.
What's next for Oliver's fitness empire?
I have no idea. Whatever the people want. I like to look at stats and what does well and what doesn't do well. And it looks like the treadmill videos are still what's doing well. But yeah, depends on what the people like.
Depends on what the people want. Well, you can find Oliver at oliver.goose on TikTok, on Oliver Goosey Boots on Instagram. And I'm here with Ovya Barani. Ovya, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, David. This is great.
After the break, a researcher who uncovered a wild thing from YouTube. Certain videos that promote products, video games, while they generate a lot of views, they actually reduce demand for the video games, which would mean the video game industry should take them off the internet. And yet it's $1 billion business. What is going on? Find out with me after the break. I'm David Cooper. This is The Last Show.
We solve world problems with radio jingles and bad advice. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
There's a curious thing that happens with YouTube advertising and those that watch other people play video games online. It doesn't exactly lead to more video game demand. What is going on? And if you people don't know about this industry where watching folks play online is a fun thing to do, it's a huge one. Whether you've heard about it or not, I am joined by Dr. Avery Haviv. He's a marketing professor at the University of Rochester, Simon School of Business, to unlock all this stuff. Avery, welcome. That was not my best introduction I've ever done.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's an exciting, large topic that some of your listeners may not be aware of. 100 billion hours were spent in, I believe, 2022 watching people play video games on YouTube.
I remember the first time I watched one of these big events, like it was either in Las Vegas or some stadium somewhere in like probably South Korea, where people just watched others play video games. And it blew my mind.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the esports. There's sort of like that's like a competitive thing. But what's much more common now is just, someone in their living room essentially playing likely Minecraft or something like that and posting it online and for people to watch. Yeah, I engaged with this a little bit myself. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I do it because I want to learn more about the game. Sometimes I do it because it's in the background. Sometimes I do it because you're too busy or you don't want the stress of playing that particular video game. Anyone who has kids is probably pretty familiar with this, I can tell you, as people watch, Fortnite or Minecraft or many other games.
I got sucked into playing Zelda, Breath of the Wild on Nintendo Switch in like 2017. I almost lost my job over it. Like I was playing it day and night. And then when the new Zelda came out, I'm like, I can't do this to myself again, but I really want to know about the game. And so, yeah, I watched probably 3-4 hours of people playing the new Zelda online, and I got what I needed to get. I never bought the game.
And I think that's a big part of our story, right? Most of the time you would think about, massive amounts of people watching the content of a video game as being marketing, as being advertising, right? You watch the game and now you think maybe I want to go play it now. But for some, it might be a substitute. It might be now that I've watched this game, I know the plot or I know the mechanics. I don't feel the need to play it myself anymore.
Here's a deep question. Is you studying YouTube gaming influencers a way so that you don't have to buy the game? Like this is your version of I don't need to buy it, so I'll study it.
It definitely is fun to have your hobbies in your work. And I think, maybe this is a general comment about academia, but it's a lot easier to pretend like you're having fun when you're working, when you're at least doing it on topics you enjoy and are familiar with. So I like video games. I don't have as much time to play them anymore, potentially because I'm studying them so much, but you still get some of the joy. And I do think it's a really important industry. And culturally, when you think about, the sheer mass of time we as a society are dedicating towards playing video games and now watching people play video games, I think it's definitely worthy of study.
Okay, so your study says video game influencers online playing substitute purchases.
Yes.
This is kind of a big thing because you'd think the video game industry would want folks watching their games played online, but it looks like it's kind of achieving the opposite here.
It's exactly right. These video game developers have the right to take down any one of these videos that are made. They have the right to even take the ad revenue from any one of these videos that are being made. And they're choosing not to. And the reason they're choosing not to is because marketing, right? Because they think that this is promoting their game. But we find in most instances in our study that it's actually stealing demand, that the people who go see these video games tend not to go purchase afterwards. We can see very clearly when the video is posted, there is a decline in demand on the following days.
That's a wild finding. Aren't you worried video game companies are going to catch wind of your study and then like take down all these videos?
A bit. I wasn't happy about this. I was actually hoping to see the opposite. I was expecting to see the opposite. But at some point, the data's the data, the analysis is the analysis, and it's our job to report.
Let's talk more broadly speaking about ads on YouTube. Tell me about adpocalypse and why it was useful for your research.
Yeah, so adpocalypse is a big topic. So in 2017, there was an event called Adpocalypse, and it started with a Wall Street Journal editorial which said that Pepsi is advertising on videos posted by Hezbollah.
Oh,
right?
Not
Yes.
purposely, I hope.
Not purposely, not, hey, we want to advertise for Hezbollah, but generally YouTube just put ads on any video that people watched. And so that led to videos with objectionable content in various forms, like that video, getting big branded ads. And that led to these big companies saying, hey, we're not going to advertise on YouTube if you might put us on videos associated with these unbelievably controversial topics. So that led YouTube to sort of pull back the advertising. The amount of money went down, but more importantly, they started reviewing videos before they were allowed to get monetized. That essentially creates like a delay, right? So if you uploaded a video, you could only get that video monetized. You can only get revenue from that video if you waited a day or two. What that does is it lets us see the difference between when what we call a demand shock happens, when demand increases, and we get to see the effect of that for a day or two. Then we get to see the video posted, which is not on the day of the original demand shock, and then we can see the effect of the ad. So before, we would have things like, there was in Fortnite at some point a big Star Wars promotion that tied into episode 9. There may have been videos created about that event on that day, but with Adpocalypse, those videos would have come a bit later because it would have taken an extra day to get monetized. So we can sort of decouple when people want to play the game and when the game is actually posted online in YouTube videos, and that's what lets us tease out this effect.
Oh, so using that effect, you were able to say demand drops when people start watching videos.
Exactly.
Oh, cool. One thing that you said that I find a little bit curious is the video game companies have the right to take all of these down. Would that mean that it doesn't fall under something called fair use, or at least the right to monetize them themselves? They're basically giving these video game streamers this free ad revenue.
Yes, their fair use is a big issue here. Some video game streamers are claiming fair use, which is basically the right to use the video game content without permission from the developers. This has never been tested in court. It's really unclear what would happen if it came up in court. You might be familiar. This is why people can show clips of TV shows when they're critiquing something, or why Google Books exists and is allowed to upload parts of books online. One key question in fair use is, does the new product enhance demand for the original product? So if we're thinking about, say, someone posting sports highlights online, one question people would be asking is, does someone, say, posting hockey highlights online increase demand for the NHL or decrease demand for the NHL?
Wouldn't that imply that all critiques have to be positive, though? Or can I get away with doing a negative one? For example, by saying this hockey team sucks, it's still generating interest in the original thing.
Yes. If it enhanced demand for the product category as a whole, I think it would generally be considered allowable. There's also separate provisions specifically for critiques. But one of the most important ones is this demand spillover, and that's exactly what we measure. And our study would say maybe these wouldn't count as fair use because it's a negative effect on demand.
A fun, curious look at the demand created by watching video game streamers online. You could have serious implications for this whole industry with your paper.
Yes.
You're telling video gaming companies they shouldn't allow this content to exist, and they have the right to take it down.
Well, our study says that that's for new purchases. We'd also say that it depends on how the video game is actually monetized, right? So if you rely on that upfront sales, then yes, their study says that there isn't an increase in demand. However, we do also find that the videos increase usage, how much time people spend in the game if they already own it. Okay, so if you are a company that gets money through, say, downloadable content, through people subscribing, then we would suggest that that's actually a positive for you because people will use your video game more if they've already purchased it.
Oh, downloadable content. Well, Dr. Avery Haviv is a marketing professor at the University of Rochester Simon School of Business. Avery, thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's the show. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and listen to our podcast. You can find out details about that at www.lastshow.pizza. That's lastshow.pizza, not .com. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you tomorrow night. And take care of your pets and your husbands and your wives and your girlfriends and your boyfriends and cut their nails or something, if they allow it.